Have you ever pondered how America came into existence? This land of diverse cultures, scenic beauty, and abundant opportunities has a history as rich as its promise. Our journey begins thousands of years ago, long before the first European footprints marked its soil. In the beginning, Native Americans were the sole inhabitants of this vast land. These first Americans, with their vibrant cultures, lived in harmony with the earth, shaping the landscape with their hands and their hearts. They hunted, fished, and farmed, creating a life that was deeply connected to the rhythms of nature. But the winds of change began to blow with the arrival of a Genoese explorer named Christopher Columbus in the year 1492. Columbus, under the patronage of the Spanish monarchs, set sail across the Atlantic, seeking a new route to the East Indies. Instead, he stumbled upon a new world, a land unknown to Europeans. This marked the beginning of an era of European exploration and colonization. Adventurers from Spain, France, England, and the Netherlands, drawn by tales of abundant resources and potential wealth, began to make their way to the shores of America. They established colonies, bringing with them their languages, religions, and customs, forever altering the cultural tapestry of America. However, the arrival of these foreign settlers was not without consequence. The Native Americans, unaccustomed to the diseases brought by the Europeans, suffered greatly from epidemics. Their populations dwindled, and their lands were seized. The face of America began to change, its original inhabitants forced to adapt to a new way of life. Despite these tragedies, the influence of Native Americans on the development of America remains undeniable. From their knowledge of the land to their rich cultural traditions, they have left an indelible mark on the fabric of American society. The arrival of Europeans marked a significant shift in the history of America, setting the stage for what was to come. This dawn of America, though fraught with conflict and change, paved the way for the birth of a nation known today as the United States of America. From colonization to revolution, how did America become a sovereign nation? Well, let's journey back to the 17th and 18th centuries, when the land we now know as America was made up of 13 British colonies. These colonies thrived, but over time tensions began to mount between the colonists and the British Empire. The British, you see, were fond of imposing taxes without representation, and the colonists were none too pleased about it. This tension was the catalyst that ignited the spark of revolution. The year was 1775, and the American Revolutionary War was about to begin. The colonists, now identifying as Americans, were ready to fight for their freedom. They yearned for a land where they could govern themselves, free from the yoke of British rule. But it wasn't until a year into the war in 1776 that a crucial event took place: the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Penned by Thomas Jefferson and signed by 56 representatives from the 13 colonies, this document was more than just a piece of parchment. It was a statement of intent, a declaration of the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But the path to independence was far from easy. The Revolutionary War was a grueling conflict, pitting the fledgling American forces against the might of the British Empire. It was a David versus Goliath scenario, but the Americans had something the British didn't: an unyielding belief in their cause. This belief carried them through the darkest days of the war, and in 1783, after 8 long years of conflict, the British finally admitted defeat. With the end of the Revolutionary War, America emerged as an independent nation, ready to chart its own course. This marked the birth of a new nation, a nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal, a nation that, from its inception, was ready to make its mark on the world stage. But how did this young nation navigate its growing pains and internal conflict, you might ask? Well, it was a journey marked by expansion and war, but also by resilience and determination. As America grew, so did its ambitions. The idea of manifest destiny took hold, a belief that the United States was destined by God to spread its democracy and freedom across the continent. This vision led to a period of rapid westward expansion, as pioneers packed their belongings into covered wagons and set off into the unknown in search of new opportunities. Yet this expansion was not without its dark side, as it often came at the expense of Native American nations and their lands. Simultaneously, a divisive issue was brewing back east. The issue was slavery, an institution deeply entrenched in the southern states' economies and societies. However, it was morally abhorrent to many in the North, creating a rift that would only widen with time. As new states were added to the Union, the question of whether they would be free or slave states added fuel to the growing fire of discord. This discord eventually ignited into the Civil War, a brutal, bloody conflict that tore the nation in two from 1861 to 1865. The North, fighting to preserve the Union and eventually to end slavery, clashed with the South, who fought to maintain their way of life and their right to own slaves. The war was marked by significant battles and events such as the Battle of Gettysburg, the Emancipation Proclamation, and the eventual surrender of the Confederate Army at Appomattox Courthouse. The war's end marked a new era, with the abolition of slavery and the beginning of Reconstruction. Despite the strife and turmoil of the Civil War, America continued to grow and evolve, setting the stage for its rise on the world stage. The journey was far from easy, but through resilience and determination, the United States navigated its way through this tumultuous period in its history. The 20th century was a time of rapid change for America, wasn't it? An era that saw the country transform and grow, shaping not only its own destiny, but that of the world. The century began with America's entry into the global stage as a key player in the two world wars. In the First World War, America's intervention in 1917 played a pivotal role in the eventual victory of the Allies. 2 decades later, America once again found itself drawn into a global conflict, this time against the Axis powers in the Second World War, a struggle that ended with America emerging as a superpower. But the 20th century wasn't just about wars. The period between the two world wars was marked by the Great Depression, a time of economic hardship that tested the resilience of the American people. Yet they persevered and the nation bounced back, demonstrating the indomitable spirit that has come to define America. The mid-20th century saw a shift in focus towards social justice, with the civil rights movement aiming to end racial discrimination against African Americans. This period, marked by the leadership of figures like Martin Luther King Jr., was a testament to America's commitment to equality and freedom. As the century drew to a close, America found itself embroiled in another kind of war, the Cold War. This ideological battle against the Soviet Union was not just about military might, but a contest of political, economic, and cultural influence. It was a time of tension and uncertainty, but also a time that saw America assert its position as a leading global power. The 20th century was indeed a defining period for America. It was a time of conflict and recovery, of social change and progress. It was a time that saw America rise to the challenges it faced, shaping its own destiny and influencing the world. As we entered the 21st century, America had firmly established itself as a leading global power. So, where does America stand today? In the 21st century, America finds itself grappling with a host of complex challenges. As a nation, it is more politically polarized than ever before. The divide between the left and the right has widened, leading to heated debates and a seemingly insurmountable divide in the political landscape. From climate change to gun control, the nation's citizens are divided on key issues, making consensus difficult to achieve. Economic inequality is another pressing issue. The rich are getting richer while the middle class is shrinking and poverty persists. This disparity in wealth distribution has led to social and economic tension, with many calling for reforms to address this imbalance. Moreover, immigration and healthcare are two ongoing debates that dominate the national conversation. On one hand, America is a nation built by immigrants, yet the question of who should be allowed to enter and stay continues to be a contentious topic. On the other hand, the healthcare system, despite its advancements, remains a point of contention. With high costs and uneven access, many Americans are left without adequate care, sparking calls for change. Yet, in spite of these challenges, America's global influence remains significant. Its economic, political, and cultural footprint can be seen in every corner of the globe. From Hollywood films to Silicon Valley's tech innovations, the influence of America is pervasive and profound. Its decisions and policies continue to shape the world's economic trends, political strategies, and societal norms. America's strength lies not only in its power but also in its ability to innovate, adapt, and grow. The nation's vibrant diversity, relentless innovation, and deep commitment to democratic ideals have allowed it to weather storms and emerge stronger. Despite the challenges, America continues to play a significant role in shaping our global future. The challenges are many, the road ahead is long, but the spirit of America, the spirit that has carried it through centuries of change, remains undimmed.